You're fishing in the winter time, usually from about, say, December into maybe early March, something like that, mid-March. Cold fronts don't affect bass much as far as the techniques that you use. It's like you can catch bass pretty much on the same techniques before, during, and after a front, and the fronts are different in the wintertime and also in the summertime. Frontal passages in the summertime have very little to do with how you need to adjust your techniques, that time of year. There's just something about the water temperatures being on the extremes that cold fronts just don't affect the bass that much. The two times a year that they affect the bass the most is in the springtime of the year and the fall time of the year. Specifically when that water temperature is in the 50s and the 60s. This is when you're really going to notice it. So given that, depending upon what part of the country you're in, you're going to notice the cold fronts have a really big impact on the fish, like say in March and April in a lot of lakes across the country. That's usually when the water's in the 50s to 60s. And then again in October and November, like we're in at the time of filming this video, we're into the end of October. So that's the windows I want to talk about. Now, I don't know why that is. All I know, it is true. If there's one thing that I do know about bass fishing that is undisputable, in my opinion, it's that is when the cold fronts really affect bass, and you need to make a change with that. Okay, first of all, a lot of it depends on the type of cold front that you have coming through. And normally in the spring and the fall time of the year, prior to a front rolling through, and sometimes even as the front is rolling through, the fish usually can be pretty active, and you'll notice that they tend to chase baits more. Prior to a front, a lot of times you have some of these conditions. You usually have some type of a south or southwest wind. Air temperatures are usually normal or above normal. And depending upon the type of front, you usually have some type of skylight condition change in terms of clouds moving in. And all that type of stuff factored in together. You may or may not have wind with it. Sometimes at certain passages, you'll have a strong south wind. But anyway, prior to the front, whatever reason it is, it has something to do with the activation of the overall food chain in a body of water. Bass are usually active. So that's when you're fishing. That's when I fish my aggressive reaction baits, like my crankbaits, my spinner baits, chatter baits, top water, swim baits, glide baits, prior to a frontal system. Now, after that frontal system comes through, you're going to have two different type of scenarios with this. You're either going to have a front roll through and the wind is going to switch to the north. That's usually what it always does. Sometimes, depending upon what part of the country you're in, it can switch to the northeast or the northwest or the north, but you usually have some type of 180-degree shift in the wind direction. And depending upon the front, you may or may not have wind associated with it. And you may or may not have clouds associated with it. Some frontal passages, they'll come through, you'll have a